Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a preview of the Canon EOS 5D Mark IV. People have been waiting for this camera for 4 years, and I want to go through the specs in just a second, but if you haven't subscribed here on YouTube, go ahead and give my channel a subscribe so you can get all of the videos as they go live. Let's get to the specs. We have 30.4 megapixel CMOS full frame sensor, which is up from 22 megapixels from the 5D Mark III. You have a Digic 6 Plus processor, whereas in the 1DX Mark II, you have a dual Digic 6 Plus processor. ISO goes from 100 to 32,000 natively, and in expandable mode, it goes to 50 to 102,400. And I find that to be a little disappointing, but you are gaining a little bit, not a full stop from the 5D Mark III, but you have to take into consideration that it's 30.4 megapixels opposed to 22, so to expand it even a little bit, but then make it better, we'll see how the images look at the higher ISO, but that's all right, not the best. Would have liked to have seen a little more, but I understand it with the 30.4 megapixels. It has a 3.2-inch full touchscreen. This time it means, and I'm pretty sure this is what they told me, is that you can touch the screen anywhere when it comes to the menus, whether it comes to swiping, pinching, and zooming on photos, but we'll have to wait and see when I get it in my hands if it actually does do that. I'm pretty sure they told me it did, but that's something that I love. I love touchscreen in cameras, and I love being able to zoom and to switch through the photos. I'm a big fan of that. 7 frames a second, which is up from the 5D Mark III, but let me tell you some issues. It does 21 frames at a burst in full RAW to the CF card slot. We'll talk about that in a second. And it does 19 with the SD card slot and 7 with what they're calling Duel Pixel RAW. We'll get to that in a second. The 2 cards that this camera takes are SD cards and compact flash. Why did they not put a CFast card in this camera is beyond me. You take old technology and put it into a brand new camera when there's already the 1DX Mark II using the CFast. Nikon is using the XQD card in the D500 as well as in the D5. So for them not to update the cards and the SD card slot, let me read this so I don't get this wrong, is UHS 1, not UHS 2, which is the faster cards. Why are we doing this? And we'll know more about this in just a second, or why I'm complaining so hard about it when we get to the video specs, but that is bad with 3 exclamation points. Count them. 1, 2, 3 bad exclamation points, upset with the type of cards that they're using, because 21 frames before the buffer runs out is pretty piss poor in this day and age. 61 AF points, 41 of them are Crosstype expandable, or not expandable, they're expanded from the 5D Mark III. It's the same focusing system that you find in the EOS 1DX Mark II. So hopefully that means that the focus points light up red, which is a luxury, and it's beautiful to have because I love being able to see in low light situations what focus points I am on. Would it be nice if they expanded it further? Yes, but being that it's the same as the 1DX Mark II, which I've personally used and done a real-world review of, which is up here, I am happy with the results that I got from there. You have Duel Pixel RAW, which is new. What this means is because you have Duel Pixel AF as it comes to the video mode, which we're going to get to when I get to video section. This means that after you take a RAW file using the Duel Pixel RAW, using Canon's DPP software, you'll be able to go in and make micro adjustments to the bokeh and the focus. So for those people who may have just missed ever so slightly with one of their still images, say you're on the eyelash and you meant to be on the eye, it is possible that you'll be able to make that tweak after the fact. We'll have to see how this works. I haven't seen it. We've only heard about it. But remember the Lytro, hopefully this is better. We'll see. Hopefully it's better. Also, when you're shooting Duel Pixel RAW, it doubles the RAW size, which reduces the buffer and frame rate, and that's why you only get 7 frames in the buffer. That's 1 whole second if you're shooting RAW with the Duel Pixel RAW. It has now Wi-Fi, NFC, and GPS built in. A lot of people will be happy about that. I love having the Wi-Fi. I could couldn't care less about the GPS, except for setting multiple cameras to get the exact atomic time. They added a USB 3.0 terminal, which is going to be great for tethering and moving the files off the camera. It has a similar body to the 5D Mark III, the 5DS, and the 5DSR. One of the only changes that you'll see is that they changed the joystick on the back slightly, and they moved the nameplate up to under something else, and that's it. I'm going to get to the video stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also give this a like if you like these preview videos. Give it a like if you want one of these cameras. I'd rather have that. So go ahead, like it up, and let's get into the video modes. 4K. Yes, it does 4K up to 30 frames a second, so you have 24p and you have 30p at 30 frames a second, or 24 and 30 frames a second, and it has a 1.74x crop mode. That means when you're shooting 4K video, it's going to crop down the sensor slightly, so all of your lenses will be multiplied by 1.74. Do you understand why I'm bitching about the CF card and the SD card using old technology? Because if you're shooting 4K at 30 frames a second, you're going to want to have a faster card to not only save stuff to, but when you're transferring to the computer. So that's terrible. Happy with the 4K though. It's at 29 minutes and 59 seconds. You can do full DCI cinema resolution at the 2959, motion JPEG codec at 500 megabits a second. It does full HD 1080 at 60 frames. It does HD, which is 720. It does 120 frames a second, but that is a baked file, meaning once you shoot it, it processes the file and saves it as a slow motion file for you, similar to what the Canon 1DX Mark II did when we were out shooting track and field. It has an HDMI out, but it only does 1080. It does not do 4K out from the HDMI. The reason Canon probably does that is they want you to buy their C300 Mark II if you want to do 4K out that way. Is that a deal breaker? No, it's not a deal breaker. This is a fantastic camera so far based off of most of the specs, especially if you're going to be an indie filmmaker or a photojournalist who also shoots video. You can pull 8 megapixel stills from the JPEGs, so you can get a frame grab of 8 megapixels, which if you're shooting video and say you need some shots from the set, you could always pull some of those production stills and use them. I'm not going to be the person that shoots the 4K video and decides, oh, this would make for a great photo, and crop it into the aspect ratio and print it out. Sure, they promote that you can do that, but I don't think any photographer is going to want to do that, but production stills could come in handy. Duel Pixel AF is absolutely incredible. The fact that they added it to this camera and they have the touch screen is going to be great when you can touch on the back of the screen where you want it to focus, and it's going to go ahead and do that cinematically, and that's great. And because it has Wi-Fi, you can use the Canon app, just like we did with the Canon 80D Real World Review, which you can see right up here. We used that to sit there with an iPad Pro or an iPad, touch where we wanted to focus, and wirelessly you can change all the settings, hit record, and change focus. That's absolutely awesome. It's priced to sell if you have $3,499. If you don't, you probably can't buy it. But it's $3,499, which is the same price that the 5D Mark III was originally released at. It's available in early September, which means it's coming out pretty soon. For anybody that wants it, you're going to be able to pick it up very soon. And one of the other things is they added a new battery grip. You can't use the old battery grip, which is kind of normal, and that is pretty much it. Those are the specs. I think this is a fantastic camera for the most part. The shortcomings, the CF card, the SD card that's slower, and a couple of other things. Can you get over that? Absolutely. This is going to be a fantastic wedding camera, portrait camera, photojournalistic camera. It's going to be great for, if you can afford it. Of course, it's great for somebody just starting out. That's always the caveat. If you can afford it, you can learn with this camera. Great features for video, great features for photo. All around, pretty happy with the results of the specs. The next thing we need to do is a real-world review or a 5-minute portrait, and as soon as we get our hands on it, we will do that. Be sure to leave comments down below with what are your favorite features, what features are it missing, what features is it missing? Yes. What features is it missing? And also whatever you think. Don't forget to sub, like, share. That's where we'll leave it. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.